Hey y'all, the paranormal chick here. So today I'm going to talk about the death of Christopher Allen Whiteley. He was not your stereotypical good guy. He was an imperfect human being with a drug and prison record. But that doesn't mean he didn't matter. It doesn't mean his death didn't matter. I'm going to read a full reporting of his death and investigation that was written by journalist Morgan O'Hanlon. It was on December 2nd, 2020. That Christopher decided to ultimately hitchhike to work. It was around 9 a.m. when he walked out of his girlfriend's home near a small town of the name of Lipan, Texas, which is southwest of Fort Worth in Hood County. According to the county sheriff's office, that morning he took a shortcut through dense brush to get to Howell Road, a narrow country lane where he planned to hitchhike to his job painting houses. Christopher never made it to work. The next day, a missing persons report was filed for Christopher. This led to the Hood County Sheriff deputies searching in between the girlfriend's house and Howell Road. Per the article by the journalist Morgan O'Hanlon, they first spotted Whiteley's backpack beneath a cedar tree. Then about 15 feet away, they spotted Whiteley's body in a brush so dense that it was a miracle that our deputies found him, said Lieutenant Johnny Rose, one of the on-scene investigators and the spokesperson for the sheriff's office. The Hood County Justice of the Peace, Catherine Gwynn, arrived on the scene to determine the cause of death. She had seen victims killed by guns, knives, and car crashes, but nothing like this. Whiteley's throat from under one ear to the other was torn open. Small, thin scratches marked his torso, forehead, and one side of his face. He was shirtless. Even though the weather had been cold, we had no idea of what exactly happened. After going over the scene, we couldn't make those calls at all, Gwen told reporter Morgan O'Hanlon. The small county of Hood doesn't have a medical examiner, so Gwen called in one from the neighboring county of Tarrant. But even before that ME could make it to Hood, there was already rumors and the news got wind of the story, and they were stating it was a mountain lion attack and killing. In the official report by Susan J. Rowe, who was the deputy medical examiner that was called in, she had wrote and stated the punctures and lacerations on his neck were consistent with that of a large cat, a mountain lion. But Gwen was confused because Hood County had its share of coyotes, bobcats, and even an escaped kangaroo, but they've never had a documented mountain lion sighting in the county, much less an attack. And this is according to TPWD records. But of course it was already too late because the news had gotten wind of its first mountain lion fatal attack in Texas. And of course it made headlines. That's all anybody and everybody was talking about. That Christopher Whiteley was killed by a mountain lion. Statistically speaking, mountain lions have killed fewer than 30 humans in the U.S. A majority of those attacks and fatalities were in California. With the news going haywire with its mountain lion attack and killing, people were panicking. They were worried, rightly so. So Sheriff Roger Deeds decided to bring in specialists for assistance. The first one was Britton Stuckey, a Hood County game warden. He went to the scene the day after Whiteley's body was found. And in his site visit report, Stuckey wrote that he found no evidence of a mountain lion attack. The usual telltale signs were all absent. There were no lion prints, feces, or territorial scrapes, which are small mounds of debris that lions pile up and mark with urine at most kill sites. He did note the large presence of human tracks and disturbances from most likely the first responders at the scene. He advised the sheriff's office to reach out to a Texas park and wildlife biologist for further expert assistance with the investigation. The next specialist that was brought in was Jonah Evans. At that time, he was a mammalologist for TPWD, and he believed there was no way that a mountain lion had killed Whiteley. Some of the distinctive markers of a mountain lion attack, including clear marks from canine teeth and missing organs from the abdomen, weren't evident. Evans, being an expert in animal tracking who has seen hundreds of mountain lion kills in person and in photos, was tasked with leading TPWD's effort to assist the sheriff's investigation. He pointed out the lack of lion tracks in the soil. On Saturday, December 5th, 2 days after Whiteley's body was found, the third investigator was brought in, Mike Bodenchuk, who was an experienced mountain lion trapper and director of Wildlife Services Texas, a division of U.S. Department of Agriculture. Bodenchuk started at ground zero, the dense thicket where sheriff's deputies recovered Whiteley, then worked his way outward. The only animal tracks he found within 150 yards were those of coyotes, deer, hogs, house cats, and dogs. Bodenchuk stated in his report, in 2 locations I identified tracks of a mid-sized dog. He determined that they were made maybe 2 or 3 days apart and likely indicated that a free-roaming dog lived nearby. Ultimately, he determined it was not a mountain lion that killed Christopher. 2 days after his visit to Howell Road, Bodenchuk walked into the ME's office in Tarrant County. He had a mountain lion skull with him. He wanted to show Susan Rowe and the personnel why he had ruled out a mountain lion killing Christopher. Mountain lions kill their prey by stalking it. They attack from behind. The cat will jump on its prey's back, digging its claws into the flesh while latching onto the neck and throat with its teeth. It uses its strong jaws to crush the windpipe, killing by asphyxiation. With a lion's small but powerful jaw, the bite marks are almost dainty. Typically 2 puncture marks on each side of the throat with minimal blood. They crush rather than tear major arteries. Only later, hours after the kill, does the lion return to feed. Whiteley's throat, however, had been torn wide open. He had died of blood loss, and the scratches on his body were superficial, bearing none of the puncture wound that would come with a lion latching its large curved claws into his flesh. There were no signs that his body had been fed upon. Bodenchuk explained, lions tend to leave behind significant signs of struggle with their prey, such as disturbed leaves, broken twigs, distinctive tracks. The scene where Christopher was found was minimally disturbed. It didn't appear as if Christopher's body had been cached, a behavior in which lions hide their kills so they can return for multiple feedings. According to Bodenchuk, Evans, and Stuckey, all 3 men said that it was more likely that Whiteley fell or crawled into the brush where his body was found. Bodenchuk concluded that an animal may very well have killed Whiteley, but it was no lion. Without being able to examine Whiteley's trachea, which had been removed from his body by the medical examiner's office, he was unable to offer more definitive analysis. On January 25th, Susan Rowe delivered her final autopsy to the sheriff's office. She ruled Christopher Whiteley's death an accident and reported that meth had been found in his system. The cause of death, injuries of the neck due to animal attack. The reference to a mountain lion or any specific animal of any kind had been dropped. The next day, the Hood County Sheriff's Office wrote in a press release that it was closing its investigation into Whiteley's death, saying that it agreed with the medical examiner's conclusion, since there was no signs of foul play in his death. Lieutenant Johnny Rose further explained the theory. The blood evidence showed that he was attacked when he was standing up. It wasn't something where he was laying down, passed out, or asleep or whatever. He was standing when he was attacked, Rose said, describing Whiteley's fatal injuries. Those injuries are consistent with an animal ripping out someone's throat. If a mountain lion didn't kill Christopher, then who or what did? DNA testing could have helped answer that question. But unsurprisingly, the sheriff's office did not request any type of DNA testing or evidence. So, per the procedure of Tarrant County Medical Office, after they completed and concluded the autopsy, they washed the body, which effectively eliminated any potential evidence of DNA. Ultimately, this surprised Evans, because at that time, they had not determined a cause of death. Christopher Allen Whiteley died in December of 2020. His case was closed with a tidy little bow, but yet so many questions remain. And that one question, the most important one, has never been answered. What killed Christopher Allen Whiteley?